Okay, let's unpack this. You know that feeling. You watch a show, finish a book, hear a song, maybe you just spend time with someone you really care about, and you're just vibrating with how much you loved it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell everyone, share the magic, and then when you open your mouth or, go online, all that comes out is, it was amazing, or,
Yeah.
oh, I just loved it.
Right.
It's like the feeling is this huge, vibrant thing inside you, but the words you have feel, well, tiny, kind of inadequate.
Yeah, that gap between this really intense feeling and the limited words we have is something so many of us struggle with.
Definitely.
And it's especially challenging now in what some sources are calling like an era of 100 million critics or maybe an era of 100 million senders.
Opinions everywhere.
Exactly. They're just flooding the zone, particularly on SNS, social media.
Right. It feels like you're trying to say something deeply personal, but you're instantly just surrounded by this huge chorus of other people's takes.
Yeah.
And there's a real danger there, isn't there? Sources point out how easily we can unconsciously absorb or just sort of accidentally copy others' phrasing.
Right, even their values.
Right, their values. And that makes it incredibly difficult to isolate and trust what you specifically felt, your own reaction.
Absolutely. It's like trying to find your own unique signal in just this sea of noise. One source we looked at shared a really memorable anecdote. It's from Kansu's, who's a popular Japanese blogger.
Okay.
Now, this is someone who's been writing about things they love for like over a decade. Built up a massive following. We're talking 2.4 million monthly page views.
Wow.
Top 6 on Hatana blog. So they're clearly skilled at, putting words out there.
An experienced pro, you'd think they'd have this completely wired.
Exactly. But Kansu read the book we're diving into today and said it made them feel like they wanted to slap their 10-year-old self.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They talk about how much they struggled in the past, writing what felt like meaningless sentences, describing it really vividly as like swimming naked in the freezing ocean of the internet, or trying to fight a final boss in a video game with absolutely no equipment.
Wow. That image, being exposed and ill-equipped, that really hits home.
It does.
It shows this isn't just a beginner problem. Even people who make their living expressing themselves can feel this fundamental disconnect, having this huge amount of passion, this feeling, but only managing to get out a tiny, almost ineffective part of it.
And that brings us right to the core insight of the book we've been exploring, the art of verbalizing likes. I want to talk about how great my Oshi is, but all I can say is amazing, by Kaho Miyake.
And just quickly, for anyone maybe not familiar, oshi, it's a Japanese term. It means basically a person or thing you're a really passionate fan of, someone or something you strongly support.
Right.
It's the perfect frame for this topic because it implies that really intense personal feeling of like.
Yeah, that deep connection.
And the author, Kaho Miyake, is fascinating because they kind of bridge two worlds. They're a literary critic, sharp analytical skills, but also a self-professed otaku, a passionate fan.
Right. So they get both sides, the mechanics of language and analysis, but also that visceral, sometimes overwhelming experience of really deep fandom.
So our mission with this deep dive is to pull the essential nuggets from this book, looking at various reviews and summaries, to figure out how you can break free from just saying amazing, and maybe more importantly, why developing your own way to talk about your likes is so important.
Not just for talking about your favorite things.
But for understanding yourself, right?
Exactly. So we've sort of set up the problem. Generic words, the online noise, this difficulty connecting with your own specific feeling. The book's central principle, then, is a pivot.
Okay.
It says the goal isn't primarily about, say, beefing up your vocabulary or polishing traditional writing skills. It's fundamentally about the act of creating your own words.
Your own words.
Words that emerge directly from your own feelings.
Creating your own words. That sounds kind of big. Are we talking about inventing new language?
Well, not necessarily inventing brand new words from scratch, but more like assembling and using existing language in a way that is specifically yours.
Ah, okay.
A way that reflects your unique experience. And the key emphasis here, the absolute core, is your own feelings.
Right.
It's valuing what you uniquely felt in that moment, not trying to match some external standard or, what seems popular.
Okay, so it starts internally. It's prioritizing your authentic response above all else.
Exactly. And the book makes a strong case that this effort, trying to express your likes, is inherently an act of self-expression.
How so?
Well, it's tied to understanding your own life story, identifying what you actually value, what you deeply like, and how you like it. That's a window into who you are.
All right, that makes sense conceptually, but how do you actually do it? How do you translate that internal unique feeling into external specific language that feels like yours?
Okay, yeah, that's where the book gets really practical with techniques. The first step, like you said, is to prioritize your emotion.
Right.
Before you jump to read reviews, before you scroll through comments, just sit with your immediate, genuine emotional response. What was the very first thing you felt?
Got it. Isolate your own reaction first. Don't let others color it yet.
Yes. And then it introduces a concept that's highlighted as being perhaps more important than traditional skills like reading comprehension or observation.
We're important. Okay.
When it comes to generating original impressions, it's called imagination power, or gushyoku in Japanese.
Imagination power. So if
Thoughts expand freely about the subject. The book uses this great phrase, needing your imagination.
needing your imagination, I like that.
Yeah. Thinking about possibilities, things that weren't shown but could have been, different angles, interpretations. This imaginative space is where truly original insights often come from.
Huh. That's kind of counterintuitive. You'd think critical analysis and sharp observation would be the main drivers.
And they are important tools, for sure.
Yeah.
But the book argues that the source of unique expression often comes from that personal, imaginative engagement with the material.
Okay.
And once you have that feeling, maybe fueled by that imagination, you use the technique that, well, that language is subdivision.
Subdivision. Okay. Break it down.
Yes, that's the core of it. The key insight here is that expressing likes isn't about making a single broad judgment like it was good or it was bad.
Right. Beyond just amazing.
Exactly. It's about becoming like a detective of your own feeling. It's about subdivision, identifying what specific aspect of the thing you like.
Like a scene or a line.
Yeah, or a moment, a visual detail, maybe a sound.
Yeah.
What specific aspect triggered what specific feeling in you,
Yeah.
and digging into the why.
Okay, so instead of the song was amazing, it's more like that moment in the second verse, when the bass line dropped out and the singer's voice kind of shifted into that higher register, that specific combination made me feel this like rush of unexpected joy.
Yes. Keep going.
Because it reminded me of that feeling I used to get listening to old funk records with my dad. Something like that.
Exactly like that. You're breaking down the broad feeling amazing joy into its parts. The specific trigger, bass line, voice shift, the precise feeling, unexpected joy connection, and the personal context or reason why. The memory with your dad.
Ah, I see.
That granular analysis is where original and actually relatable expression is born. The book even offers some simple starting points like categorizing feelings. Fun often stems from empathy or surprise, apparently.
Okay.
While negative reactions might be rooted in discomfort or boredom,
Yeah.
these can just help you start that subdivision process, find a thread to pull.
And this is why the book suggests focusing purely on expanding your vocabulary isn't really enough.
Right. Vocabulary is like having a toolbox. But without understanding what specific feeling you had that's emotion first and how to identify the trust and reason that's subdivision, maybe helped by imagination, you don't know which tool to pick up.
Or if the tool you need is even in there yet.
Exactly. Or maybe the tool you need is simpler than you think. Plus, simple, specific language derived from your genuine experience is often far more effective for actually connecting with others than, complex words they might not even understand.
So it's about depth and specificity, not just having a big arsenal of words. Okay, we've got the why it's hard and the how to think about it. What's the bigger picture here? What's the real significance of getting better at verbalizing your likes?
Well, first off, while the book uses Oshi and fandom as its examples, the sources are really clear these techniques are universally applicable.
To anything you care about.
Anything. Expressing any strong feeling about a hobby, a place, an idea, an experience. It all benefits from this. That's why the book is apparently seen as valuable for people in business, too.
Huh. Business. How so?
Well, think about articulating value propositions, or connecting with clients, or even just giving better presentations. At its core, it's about authentically communicating why something has impact, why it matters to you, or why it should matter to them.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
And there's another, maybe more personal idea the book touches on, preserving feelings.
Preserving them.
Yeah, those moments of intense liking or connection, they can be really fleeting, right? The act of verbalizing them, of subdividing them and finding your own words for them, It's like taking a snapshot.
Oh, interesting.
It captures and saves that specific feeling, that specific moment in time.
Like building a personal archive of your own emotional landscape, your reactions.
Exactly that. And looking back at that archive later, it helps you connect with your past self. You can see how those likes evolved, maybe how they shaped your values.
How they became part of your life story.
Precisely. It's a way of understanding your own journey through the things that really resonated with you along the way.
That's a really powerful benefit. I hadn't quite considered. It's not just about communicating outwards, but it's also about self-discovery and connecting to your past self.
And maybe the most profound benefit discussed relates back to that whole era of 100 million senders thing we talked about.
Oh, okay.
Verbalizing your specific personal feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It acts as a way to build your own inner core, your own boundaries.
How does that work?
By taking the time to identify and articulate your own reaction first, using your own language, you build a kind of foundation.
A foundation against the noise, all the other opinions.
Exactly. Against the overwhelming flow of others' opinions online. When you have that clearer sense of what you felt and why, you're much less likely to be easily influenced or swept away or even sort of invaded by the strong, sometimes harsh words of others.
Like protecting yourself from, the sources called them knives.
Yeah, the knives you encounter online, these strong, potentially harmful words.
So it's a form of self-protection in the digital age. You build your understanding of yourself from the inside out, so external voices don't automatically define you or your feelings.
Right. It connects to that idea that, yes, we understand ourselves partly in relation to others, but you need that defined self first before you can meaningfully engage with the external world without getting lost. The sources also acknowledge a really vital nuance here, though.
Which is?
That sometimes a feeling might just be too vast or too complex, maybe too contradictory, that it can't be fully verbalized. And that's okay, too.
So it's not about forcing everything into words.
No. Recognizing and accepting that some emotions remain, ineffable, that's also part of authentically understanding your experience.
Okay, so we know the techniques, emotion first, imagination, subdivision. We know why it matters, self-understanding, preserving feelings, building those boundaries. But how do you actually start doing this? It still feels like a bit of a leap to create your own language.
Yeah, for sure. The book offers practical advice here, too. It talks about adapting your expression, depending on who you're talking to and where.
Right.
A casual chat with a friend is different from a short SNS post, which is different from a longer blog entry, or maybe even writing a letter. You adjust the level of detail and the approach.
Like you wouldn't give a full, detailed subdivision analysis to someone who's never even heard of the thing you're talking about.
Exactly. The key is always be specific to your feeling, but be adaptable for your audience or context. And maybe the most freeing piece of advice mentioned in the sources is simply to just finish writing that first draft.
Don't aim for perfect right out of the gate.
Absolutely not. Just get something down on paper or screen, even if it feels messy, even if you catch yourself using those generic words like amazing. Just capture the raw material. Lower that initial hurdle.
Get the feeling out of your head and into some kind of external form.
Yes, because once it's externalized, you can actually work with it. You can go back and revise, change the order of points, delete parts that don't feel quite right, add more specific details where you see gaps, structure it better. The crucial step is just starting that process of transforming the internal feeling into external language through your own effort.
Okay, let's maybe circle back then and bring it all together. It's a deep dive into Kaho Miyake's book. It isn't promising to turn you into like a poetry writing prodigy overnight or anything?
No, definitely not. It's more of a practical guide that shows moving beyond that vague enthusiasm, that amazing requires a conscious effort.
Right.
It's about intentionally focusing inward on your unique feelings first, then maybe leveraging your personal imagination to explore those feelings.
And then applying that simple but really powerful technique of subdivision.
Exactly. Breaking down the broad feeling into the specific what, the how, and the personal why of your experience.
And the results, as we've discussed, seem far more significant than just sounding, eloquent about your favorite TV show. It profoundly deepens your self-understanding. It helps you capture and preserve meaningful moments in your life.
Yeah, like that emotional archive.
And it builds that crucial inner core that helps you navigate the, frankly, overwhelming flow of opinions online without losing your sense of self.
It helps you define you amidst all the noise.
So here's something for you, the listener, to consider as we wrap up this deep dive. Think about something you feel strongly about right now. big or small.
Could be anything.
Yeah, maybe it's the last movie you watched, a meal you had, a piece of art you saw, or even just a simple interaction from your day. Have you only described it, maybe internally or to others, with those broad terms like good, terrible, fun, or yes, amazing?
What might you discover about that subject and maybe even more importantly, about yourself, if you took just a few moments to try and break down exactly what you felt and why, using your own specific words, perhaps even just writing it down for yourself, nobody else has to see it. What might come up?